Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, we successfully created some of the model. We have created one of the controller and also we migrated one of the table. And also we get all the data and visible it on here. So that is our index page. That means our home about index page. So now I want to insert this data, right? So if you want to insert this data here, I have already added one of the button as a add about. So here I want to do, when you click in particular add about page, that means here I want to add one of the route and I want to load one of the page, right friends? So now let's do that work. So if you understand that concept, I think you already know what exactly things we have to do. So now go to our index page. So into the index page here you can see that is actually our add about. So now first of all I have to add one of the route. So now I want to add one of the route as a add about. Okay, I name it as a add about. So into this add about page here we have to only load one of the page. So now we have to create this route. So you have to create this route, go to our web route. Here I copy it and now I want to paste it. So I have already created one of the controller as a about controller, and now I want to add it as a that is actually our name. So our name will be as a add about. I copy that route and then our route will be as a add about, right friend? And then in our will be our URL. Our URL will be as a add about, and also I want to create one of the method as a add about. That will be as a add about. So now I want to create this add about method in our about controller. So now go to our add about controller, into the controller here after this. Okay, after this I want to create another one that will be as a public and then function and then our method name as a add about, right? So here I have created one of the another method. So into this method, what exactly we have to do? We have to simply load. That means we have to return one of the view page, right? So for adding our this about all the details. So I want to return. So that will be the return and view. And with the view, what exactly we have to do here? We have to create one of the view page, right friends? So I want to do in our index. That means that is our home. So we go into the home. I have already created one of the index. So right now into the home folder, I want to create another one as a create. The create.blade.php. So that will be our create blade. Okay. So now I want to add this page. So that will be in our admin. And then the home, and then the create. So I have created one of the page as a create. So now simply I load this page. That means right now when you click it in particular this page, that means this button, it should be redirect to our this route as a add about. That means that is our add about, and into this add about they have created one of the controller. Into the controller I have created one of the method. It should be redirected to our this method. That means that is actually the method, and into this method area I return one of the view page. So that will be in our admin, home, and the create, right? So now if you click as a save all, and now if you go and refresh, and there is unexpected this again. Okay, you can see again I miss it. So that is actually the single column. You can see also it's showing some of the error. Click as a save all. So into the single quote here you have to pass it, right? So maybe when I select, then it's selected. Now click as a refresh. Yes, perfect. So now if you click as a add about, you can see friend, now it's successfully load our page. So our page I have already added, that is our create page, right? So now we have to update our this create page. So this will be like as our slider. Into the slider, that is our create page I have also created. So right now I want to better copy everything from here. Okay, this will be just like that same. I copy everything from here. That means from our slider, and in our home create here I paste it. So that will be our section. Perfect. And that is our admin. That means I extended our admin master, and that is our admin. So it will be as a create about or home about. Okay, that will be as a create home about, and then where here we have to create one of the route for this one. And then our field will be actually one of the title field. Because of all here we have to insert one of the title and the short description and the long description, right? There is a 3 field. So that will be one of the title, that will be one of the description, and also here we don't need this file, right? So here I remove this file. I want to take another one. I want to take another one for our description. I paste it. So here I want to add our database name, then it should be better, rather than you can actually change it as per your demand. So that will be our title. I name one of the field name as a title, and for this one I want to make it change. I want to make it as a short description. Okay, I want to make it as a name before I name it as a description. Now I want to add that as a description. That means short description and the long description. So friend, here if you want to change it, you can actually change it. Right now actually I name it at the same name as per our database name, right? So that's all. So now that will be our about title, about short description, and then that will be as a long description. Okay, that will be as a long description. So that's all that our field. Perfect. Now if you click as a save all, and now if you go and now if you refresh it, perfect. You can see it's now successfully load our this create page. That means the create home page, that will be our about title, that will be as a short description, that will be as a long description, and after that I want to click as a submit. So here this data I want to insert it in our this database table, right friend? So here right now I want to work in our this form. So that is actually one of the form. Here I have added all that name, our name. So I also added that name, and that is our name, right? Perfect. So that is also one of the form. Into the form here we have to update this action. So that will be one of the route action. I name it as a store about. Okay, I name it as a store about, and also it should be as a method will be as a post. So right now they have no images, so here we don't need this. So I remove that our NC type, right? So when you actually insert any images, then it should be needed. So right now it's perfect, and that method will be as a post method. So now I want to create this route. I want to create this route in our web route. So go to our web route, and here I copy it and I paste it. So first of all I want to update that name. Our name will be as a store about. I copy it, and now it should be as a store about, right friend? And also make that sure this route will be as a post method, right? So it will be as a post. So I name it as a post. Because of all here you can see from here we want to insert this data. So that method actually the post method. So now I want to add it. So I also want to make it as a store about. I have to create one of the method as a store about, right friend? So now I have to create this method. I have to create this method in our about controller. So now go to our about controller. So here I want to create another one. I create as a public, and then function, and then our method name as a store add about, right? So here we have to add it. And also as I told you friend, when you actually pass any request here for the this method, that means store method, here we have to add that request, right? Remember? So here it should be as a request. So that will be the request and the dollar request. So that will be as a request and the dollar request. And after that here what exactly you have to do? If you want to add some of the validation, I have already discussed about that things with you. If you go to our category, into the category insert, maybe here you can see that is actually our validation. So if you want to add some of the validation, you can add that validation rather than you can directly insert this data. Okay, so it depends on you. So right now I want to insert this data just like that same way. So here we have to I want to actually use that looking ORM. So that is our model will be needed. So with this model, here I want to insert this data. So I want to insert this data, right? So here if you want to insert it, so here you have to add all that your field. So right now in particular that area, everything will be our database field. Our database field, if you go, that is actually the title field. So I copy it, and that will be as a title into the single quote. Here we have to add it, right? So after that there will be our request. That means which request I actually pass it from our this page. That means this all that field name, right? That is actually the 3 field, and here I have already put that same name. If you go to our create, I have named it as a request name as a title name, right? So now I want to add this. That means with this request I want to pass our this title, right friend? I hope you remembered that part. And also I have to do the same things for our rest of this field. Better I copy it and paste it. So that will be our database field name, another one as a short description, and then here that will be as a short description, and also into the request I name the same name. I name it as a short description and the long description, right? So now I want to take it as a short description. That will be our database name as a long description. I copy it, and here it will be long description. Then our requested one as the same name as a long description. So now I want to add it as a long description. Perfect, right? So after that, that means here we have to insert this data. Perfect, right? So here it will be inserted all that our data as a title, short description, and the long description. Also here, if you want to add that your created ad, you can also add it. So I have already discussed about that things with you. There is also another field by default as a created ad, right? So also I want to add this data. So here, if you want to add it, that will be as a created ad. And then here I want to use that carbon. So that will be as a carbon and carbon now data. So that will be as a carbon now, right? And if you use that carbon, also you have to use it, right? So here I want to use it. Use that is in our illuminate. That means the illuminate. So that is actually the illuminate. Better illuminate, and into the illuminate, then the support, and then the carbon. So that will be our carbon. So make that sure you add this carbon. Okay, so if you use that one, and after that, that means when this data will be inserted in our database table, I want to return one of the page. So that is the things I have already discussed about that things with you. So that will be as a returned, and then redirect, and into the return redirect I want to add one of the route. Okay, that means one of the route page I want to redirect. So it will be return redirect to our home page. That means that is actually our home about page. So that is actually one of the route. So here I want to pass it on here. That means when this data will be inserted successfully, it will be return redirect to our index page, right? And with some of the message, so I want to add that with some of the message as a success. I name it one of the ID, and what are the message you want to visible, I may name it visible as about inserted successfully. So this type of one of the message, it will be visible, right? And if you go to our about index page, that means that is actually index page, and make sure you add this part. So here with this actually it's getting that our session, all that success ID, that message, and then our message will be visible, right friend? I have already discussed about that things with you. So here it will be return redirect to our about index page with some of the message. Perfect. So friend, that's all we have to do. So that's all we have to do for store this data, and now this data should be inserted. Now let's check this out. If you click as a save all. So here I save all, and you can see there is also show some of the error. So it's actually show this error because of all here I am using that semicolon. So here you don't need to use anything. Now click as a save all. So now you can see it's now perfectly run. So here now let's check this out. If you now go to our site, and here I refresh it. So now I want to add some of the about title. So for education purpose I use this one. Okay, I use this one. That means this type of one of the same name, and here I make it as a 1 for understand it that is actually our appropriate data. That will be our short description. I add that short description, and then our long description will be this one. I copy it, and here that will be our long description. I also want to make it as a 1. Okay, so that is our about title, short description, and the long description. So here I already set up that part, and when this data will be inserted, it will be returned redirect to our about index page, right? So now let's check this out. If you now click as a submit. Yes, you can see friend, it's now successfully returned redirect to our home page as about inserted successfully, and that is the serial number, that is our title, that is our short description, that is our long description, and the edit and the delete button. So friend, here I have already complete this portion. Like if you go to our database, you can see it's now successfully inserted all the data, and if you go to our this method, you can see that is actually our home method. So before I have already get all the data, the latest data, and get that things into this variable, and I pass it into our index page. And into the index page I have already show this data. You can see I have already showed this data as about. So with this about, I display the title, I display the short description, I display that long description. So for the reasons, every data is now successfully visible on here. I hope friends it's very much clear to you. So here I have already completed this part, and now there is another one as a action, as a edit and the delete, right? So here I have already declared that part. So that is our edit button. So with this about, I access our ID. That means here if you want to edit it, you have to edit it with a specific one of the ID. So that is actually our ID, right? So now I have already updated it, and also there is one of the URL, and for the delete, that is also one of the ID. We have to delete it with a specific one of the ID, and that is our URL. So right now we have to edit it. So how can edit it? How can update it? So you better in our next video, I will show you that things with a live example. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.